What's up, guys? Today on Dirt Lifestyle, we're going to talk all about welders. I've owned a few machines over the years, and I've been able to work on many, many more. And last year, I was fortunate enough for Miller to contact me and see if I wanted to partner up with them. Of course, I was very excited, and I said, hell yeah. So they sent me the Multimatic 220 AC DC. I told them that the only machines I was really interested in would be multi-process, just because I don't want to have multiple machines around the shop. I really just want one machine that does it all. So the way this works is companies like Miller will send out equipment to people who they think have influence in the industry, or if they just like your videos, anything like that. And I was very fortunate that I get to work with them. But I don't have any obligation or contract with them, so I'm just making this review video for you guys. I get asked about this machine all the time, and I wanted to make a video that I could basically just copy and paste a link, so when people ask me about it, I can tell them, check out this video. It's going to have all of my impressions, and this video is going to contain everything that I love and hate about this welder. Before I received this welder, I've always used really inexpensive machines that were just from like catalogs and stuff like that. So like Northern Tool, different equipment catalogs, and I've had really good luck with them. There was never a time where I thought I can't do this project because I just don't have enough machine. So once I got an upgrade, I was like, I don't really need an upgrade, but it seems like a really nice piece of equipment. I might as well. At least it's hour free, right? My last machine, I ran like 90 to 100 pounds of wire through it, so it had a lot of hours on it. This new machine completely changed my view on a professional piece of equipment versus a cheap piece of equipment. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching this video because you're probably considering the same leap. And I'm very fortunate that I had this machine given to me, but now that I see the difference between professional grade welders and regular just run-of-the-mill welders, there's no chance I'm going back. If Miller took this thing back tomorrow, I am gonna be out at the welding place trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay for another professional grade welder. It really does make that big of a difference. So that's a spoiler alert. I do love this welder. However, there's a bunch of other details I wanna go over in this video, and there's a bunch of shortcomings and pitfalls I'd like to address as well. If you're unfamiliar with this machine, its big selling point is its flexibility. MIG, TIG, stick, spool gun, this is a true multi-process machine, and it makes it where you can tackle just about any task as a hobbyist like me. The TIG can work with aluminum or steel, and it comes with a foot pedal so you don't have to scratch start, which I'm a huge fan of. It comes with 2 regulators, so you can jump over from 100% argon to your 75-25 mix, and you don't have to change the regulator out. You basically can just jump processes automatically or by turning on the different settings on your machine. One thing that drove me nuts about my last machine is it had one regulator and one hose going into the machine. So if I wanted to swap between MIG and TIG, it was kind of a process. I had to swap the regulator over to the other bottle because you can't use the same gas for both processes. And then I'd have to come over to the machine and I'd have to reverse polarity. And it's not the end of the world, but it was just an extra step that was kind of a pain. Now, all I have to do to switch between those two processes is I can either push the pedal for TIG and it automatically does TIG, or if I want to use the MIG gun, let's wait for that gas to finish escaping. All I have to do is pull the trigger of MIG, it automatically switches over to MIG. So that means that it changed the polarity for us and it changed between these 2 different bottles for us, and I didn't have to change anything at all. The next thing that I love about professional grade equipment is how easy it is to set everything up. There's process and everything listed here. I really hope you guys can read that in the camera. We can go to MIG steel, MIG aluminum, TIG stainless, stick. I mean, it is so easy to change between the different processes, and it just makes it very enjoyable to use. Also, if you want to weld 110, somewhere in here I actually have a 110 adapter, and you can literally just plug it in on the end, plug it into a 110 outlet, and it'll automatically switch over to 110. So if I need to use this on the go, or I need to take it to a buddy's house, something like that, they don't have a 220 outlet, I can just plug it into 110 and we're all good to go. It also has a temperature reading, and this is something that I always took for granted. None of the machines I've had before had a temperature reading. Man, I know this screen's gonna be hard to see. I'm really sorry for that, guys. But there's a temperature reading right here, and it'll tell you if it's cool, and then as it gets hot, it'll go all the way up to hot. Now, I've gotten this to overheat once, whereas my last machine, I would get it to overheat constantly. Finish welding any project took a lot longer on my last machine because of the fact that it would overheat so much, but this has a very powerful fan in it, and it seems to stay cool, no problem. That brings me to my next little thing that I like about this, and this is just a small touch, but I think it's pretty sweet. Whenever I would get done welding with my last machine, I would leave it on for maybe, I don't know, a few minutes just to make sure that it's nice and cool before I shut it off. But with this machine, as soon as you shut it off, it automatically cycles the fan to cool it down and make sure that it's cool when you shut it off. These are small features, I know, but I think that it all adds up to a really enjoyable piece of equipment. The other thing that I really like about this versus a cheaper machine is the fact that you just leave the TIG plugged in. It has a slot for it, you leave it in there, and that's it. With the other equipment that I've used, you have to change out your TIG with your ground, or I don't remember. Maybe it was, no, that's right. There was another like attachment or something that you had to plug the TIG in and unplug your MIG, and it's just kind of a hassle every time you need to swap that out. The last thing that I like about this machine is that it's Miller, so literally every welding shop has all the consumables and everything you need, including tips and all that stuff. With some of my other machines, because they were just like Chinese knockoffs, some of it was weird sizes, so you didn't get that same flexibility. I just gave you a whole bunch of good. Let's talk about the bad real quick. The cost by far is the biggest in the bad column for me. $3,000 is a lot of money for most people, me included. Making that investment it's just a tough pill to swallow. Now that I've owned it, I see why, but before I would not have spent $3,000 on just a welder. I would have seen how far I can stretch that dollar, just like your average fabricator will. The second is a spool gun. I don't like how hard it is to change the spool gun into this. I think they figured since they give you the ability to do an aluminum TIG, you're not ever gonna use a spool gun, but I personally really enjoy using both. So it is kind of a pain to swap the spool gun in there, and I'm very spoiled because of how easy it is to swap between the other processes of this machine. The last thing in the bad column is gonna be the TIG torch. The TIG torch works great, but it gets lava hot in your hand if you weld for extended periods of time. I think that it would be great if they had an easier way to swap out a liquid cooled TIG torch. I know there's a lot of aftermarket companies out there that make stuff like that for Miller welders, so I need to do a little bit of research and digging around, but I imagine I can upgrade that myself. But it would have been cool for a machine at this level to come with a liquid cooled TIG torch, or some way for it to cool a little bit better than it does. I have so many people ask me what machine they should buy, and this is such a hard question to answer. Whether you're a beginner or you're trying to get up from that beginner welding machine to the next level, it's difficult to answer, but I've thought about this a lot because I get asked about it so much, and I think that you should buy the most welder you can afford. This is definitely one of those situations where you get what you pay for, and there's a huge difference between a $500 machine and a $1,000 machine, and an even bigger jump from $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000. So I understand not everyone can afford these expensive pieces of equipment. I have struggled most of my life to be able to afford the stuff that I want, just like everybody else. But you just got to decide, do I want to fab right now, or do I want to fab a year from now? If you can wait a year, save up and get a forever welder. Just buy once, cry once. But most of us are ready to build right now. So just go out and buy the most machine you can afford now. That is the biggest piece of advice that I can give anybody who's beginner or anybody who's looking to make that next jump. If you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If you want to help support our channel, you can go to thedirtlifestyle.com. We have a Patreon, we have t-shirts, hats, a bunch of different stuff like that. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm @dirtlifestylenate. We'll see you next time.